What's going on, Neo fam? It's Laser here with another weekend video analysis. Um, I just wanted to, before I started this video, as you can see, I wanted to pull up my Twitter profile and I just wanted to let you guys know if you guys are not already following me on Twitter, please do. And the reason for that is not just for just following me, is I put these videos out once per week to kind of give you and just to share my thoughts as to where I see the stock going, which is no easy task at all. But throughout the week, I will drop some very useful tweets in here. And I tweet very often. So I made my last video on the 14th, as you can see, but throughout the week, there was multiple tweets. So if you're missing out on this content and I'm posting like some tweets and my thoughts, be sure to be following me on Twitter. I will be posting that in the link below. I'd love to kind of dive into some of my content here on Twitter, but it'll just be like regurgitating the same thing. So I'm going to do that in the actual video, but I just wanted to take a brief moment to let you guys know, if you guys are not already following me on Twitter, please do, because there's a lot of great content. I do have my direct messages turned on. So if you have any actual questions that doesn't get answered in today's video, and maybe I forgot to mention something, which could happen, just shoot me a direct message. I'm open to receiving any questions. I encourage you guys to reach out to me. Having said that, I did want to quickly talk to you guys about my my week. It's now Friday. The Christmas holidays have started, for me at least, and my son's last day of kindergarten was on Friday. So he's going to be home all week next week with me, and I think it's going to be a short week next week in the stock market, with like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day being kind of, I'm not sure how that works, but I think it's like closed on a couple of those days. But great week so far. I'm looking forward to the holidays. I might even watch a couple of Christmas movies. I watched Home Alone just a couple of weeks ago with my son. It's a classic. I love that movie, and it was his first time watching it, and he liked it. He's 5. Let me know what your favorite. I mean, I wanted to take things out and not always just be stock related, just to learn a little bit more about some of the people who are following me. So let me know what your favorite Christmas movie is below in the comments. I might even check that out throughout the holidays when I'm off. Having said that, enough about me, enough about my family. And of course, if you want to share, I'd like to hear that, what your favorite Christmas movie is in the comment section below. We're going to dive right into the actual chart itself. And I was staring at this chart. Actually, before I dive into the chart, I tweeted this like an hour ago. I've been staring at the chart now for like over an hour and trying to think like, how the heck am I going to make this video? Because I was staring at NIO. I've been staring at the Hang Seng Index. I've been looking at BABA. I've been looking everywhere trying to like figure this out. And it's hard. It's probably this video, just little, obviously, you should know, if you guys are making a big financial decision, please do your own due diligence. Please do your own research. This is just my opinion, just my thoughts. It could be wrong. And I'll tell you, because I've spent so much time staring at this chart, I'm even now, I'm not super confident, but I have an idea, and I'm here to share that with you guys, so that you guys could possibly learn, get educated, and maybe even share some ideas with me. So I'm super open to that. So let's dive in, shall we? We're going to dive into the NIO analysis by starting off by actually making sure that the bullish stance, like, are we still bullish? Yes, we are. We're still in the process of forming a higher low, and you can see it's curving, and I can fully expect that potentially to curve into next week. We had a bit of a breakdown that took place right there. You can see how it kind of broke down right there. And now it looks like the price is curling up and coming in for that retest. That retest will be critical. Absolutely critical. And I actually shared a chart here. I shared a couple charts, but I'm going to actually draw that out. I think this will be absolutely critical. And again, I'm going to remind you guys, I spent the last hour staring at this chart, trying to figure out what is the best way for me to try and make sense of this all. And I'll do my best. I apologize if this doesn't meet your expectations here, but this is it. And I'm gonna try and make sense of it all. You still want to be careful, even with like the NIO day that's taking place today. And there still is that retest that does need to take place. That could happen, right around that $5 mark, right around that $5 zone. So we could see a nice candle And if it rejects, you could see a slow dip off to like a triple bottom. And boom. It might not even like, if it triple bottoms, it might just do this, to be honest. And I'm going to explain why I'm not going to tell you that this is going to break, because I've been staring at the Hang Seng Index and I'm really trying to figure out, like, is it going to break or is it just going to break back down? I don't know, but I have some hints and some ideas from reading the chart. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and do the best I can to sharing that with you. And it's hard. This has been really, really hard. So again, if this doesn't fit your bias or it doesn't fit your own analysis, let me know in the comment section below as well. I want to hear that. I'm open to being wrong this week, actually. I'm not as confident this week as to where it's going to go. So 24 hours looks good. We're going to show you guys the 12 hours real quick. 12 hours. I've done this analysis prior to making this video to make sure I knew what I was talking about. It's still good. It did make a lower low right over here. So we want to see it make a higher low, even though it is technically a higher low here in relation to like this higher low. It is a lower low. So I want to see it come up and come back down. So I personally see it maybe making like a short dip. So it still looks good on that 12 hours. On the 4 hours, it's in an interesting spot. You take a look at it. It did break below the velocity here, but it's slow. It broke back above, broke back down. I got a feeling it's going to break back above because it's just so goddamn choppy. And I'm sensing that there's going to be that rally that retest that's up and coming. And I'm fully on board with this price coming up and retesting this zone here. Actually, I just don't know what it's going to do, but I have an idea. And quickly, we're going to look at the 2 hours and 1 hour because they look pretty good. The 2 and 1 hour are probably the most bullish parts of the chart right now, which that tells me that we're not finished yet with this upside. And that tells me that we're still working on this retest here. And that tells me there's going to be a lot more room for upside here. And you can just see this round out, actually. And it's already starting this kind of uptrend. I do believe that retest is coming, and I'm watching that. And I want to point out to you that it's broken a 200-day moving average, which is generally very, very bullish on the 2 hour. And it's done that like at the beginning of the week right here. It broke here and it's kind of consolidated, accumulated, and now it's making a higher high. Love to see that. You want to see it make that continuation. It can literally on Monday do that. And you got your higher low. We're ready to rock it. We're ready to come here. Now, a lot of people are trying to say, like, is it ready? Is this the dip? Is this the dip? Is it going to go? And I'm going to go ahead, and don't hate me if I get this wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and say no. I think it'll make one more last bottom, and I'll explain myself as to why. There's a reason for that, and it's not because I'm, like, always calling for a dip. I've had some people, like, there's some people who say I always call for dips. It's not true, but I mean, look at the chart, guys. Like, this is what NIO does. And I've been charting this now for over a year. So I think I know a thing or two when it comes about NIO. And I may be wrong about this, but this is just what I'm seeing here. So, so really bullish charts on the 1 and 2 hour as far as velocity goes. However, I want to point out something very, very important to you. And you guys may have noticed this. You guys may have not noticed this. But this was one of my tweets that I actually made. I made this tweet. Let's see if I can find it. Where was the tweet? It was this one. You guys remember this tweet? Now, if you're not following me on Twitter, please follow me on Twitter. This is how the setup played last time. So we're going to try and recreate that drawing right over here, which was this setup. This is how I recreated that drawing. I went it like this. It was like this, and it was like that, right? And then you had 1, and then you had 2, right? That's how I did it. Now, if we were trying to do a similar setup here, we had 1, and then we had 2, okay? Where's 2? I guess 2 would be here. And here's 2, okay? So it's got like that same setup, but there's something that has me kind of leaning a little bit more cautious, actually. Now, I'll explain why. Here's a little tool that measures the date. So from the top to when it broke out, let's just say around here, 110 days. From the top, I mean, like even from here, from the if we were dragging it back to this top here, 110 days takes us to January 16th. So what's happening here? We're 21 days out. Now, that's just like two instances. What if I were to do this? Take the top from here and measure when that breakout took place and that bottom took place. Right here, it was a little bit more than 110 days. As you can see, it took probably place 118 days. But you can clearly see there's this cycle that's playing out here. And so that got me thinking, like, hey, am I like, how could it, like, if it's playing? And so what has me concerned about them being the similar setup is my biggest concern is I'm drawing this trend line too steep. Because if you noticed, if I did that here, if I drew this trend line like too steep right here, I would have been like, yeah, let's go. Like it's, it's ready to go. And then but what I think could be happening on NIO is it's going to make another pivot point and it'll look like that, right? It'll look like this and it'll do this. This is what I'm thinking might actually happen. I think you might get something like this and then a triple bottom and then boom. And that would kind of go kind of in line a little bit with how it created that new, like that more, you can even just do it like that. That's just how I see it potentially playing out. And there's a couple of different confluences that make me. So again, I told you, I've been staring at the chart for like over an hour. And you got to realize like that doesn't, like, if I were to draw that and be like, oh yeah, like go long here, you can see that just wouldn't work, right? You could go even here. That just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that because we're waiting for that retest here that to happen here. And so I think that move is actually going to happen and it's going to swing lower. And the reason I'm leaning that way, and so you can see I already have drawings here on the chart and I'm trying to actually make a lot of sense of what's actually happening here. And it literally dawned on me when I ended up like charting the Hang Seng Index. And I think this is gonna kind of shock some of you guys here. Maybe I'll leave that on there for now. Notice the same setup, the one, which is the main, you call that your main trend line. I mean, you could have done this, but I called this the main trend line. Called this the second one here. Now I wanted to actually point out to you something. Is before it ran, you could say it kind of retested this trend line and danced. And if it did the same thing, if it does the same thing, and this is this really cool tool, if you haven't used this for TradingView, it's called a bar pattern. If we had kind of like a similar chart play out, and how do I change the timing on this? Maybe something like this. And if it played out kind of in a similar fashion, it's coming in to give you that retest, maybe at 20, 21, and it gives you one more dip. But it makes that higher low. And here's something that looks really cool. See this? And now we have our uptrend that formed right here. And so I think this is what's possibly maybe in the works here. But I think when Hang Seng makes that higher low, NIO might be making that triple bottom. Because the way it works here is even if Hang Seng rallies, it's still below this trend line. That would be the equivalent of being below this trend line here on NIO. Which had, and then I use the timing of those cycles. And then when I kind of look and take a look at and I brought this up actually in some of my older videos saying, like with the lower low on that 200-day moving average, oftentimes when you see that lower low form, like if we're looking, last time I made a lower low, formed a base, kicked up. Now, the structure is different. I don't want to say it's going to play exactly like this and then come down lower. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say is you might get that rally. I'm basically saying this. This is where I'm holding. I believe you get a run, but it won't be the run. I believe we get a run on NIO, but it's not going to be the run. We get that retest. It finally gives you that retest. Gives you that higher low. And we run. That's what I think is actually happening. And that goes right in line with like what I've kind of saw on the 12 hours. I mean, we could easily see something like this that happened. You guys remember when we did the 12-hour velocity analysis? Right? It would look something like this. Now we got our higher low. Right? And it doesn't have to go all the way down to 430, but I'm trying to make sense of it. And the reason I say 430 is that's just where the trend line is. So it would actually make sense that if it did give you that rally here, reject and came down, you would want it to hold here just as it would on the Hang Seng Index. Notice how the line, it just so happens that just Hang Seng, if it does run here, you would want it to kind of come down and hold there. I mean, I can manipulate this chart so it looks something like that, but something along those lines. That's it. I know now I know some of you guys might be pissed off that I'm saying now is not the run. And I know some of you guys are very hopeful and thinking this is the run. I'll tell you what, I want to leave it. I'm going to leave these comments here. I could be wrong. It could just freaking run. When will I be invalidated? And when would I be wrong? Is you would see this break. I would be so wrong if this broke. You see this? If NIO like even just gaps up, maybe it gaps up on Monday. I'm wrong. You can fully, I'm fully wrong. It's bullish. We're ready to rip. We're ready to roll. And perhaps I'm overthinking the dates and the cycles. And I said in the beginning of this video, this is so tough. Like I really don't, like I can't fully figure this out because I think the chart is so choppy. It's trading kind of in this really sideways range here. And it's in a range. If you look at the 2-week chart, it's in a range that actually became super tough to trade. Like you can see these are historic points. You can see here and right here. We're kind of in this zone here where it's giving you this sideways price action. You look at the 2 weeks, this has just been like sideways price action. So it's become very, very difficult. Now, again, we haven't looked at that chart, but on that 2-week time chart, it's got a bullish setup. That's crazy. So there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot of things that need to play out. And you got to imagine like a big news day like NIO, a lot of retail maybe are piling into that and you might get that rally and a rejection. I mean, like, I don't know. With NIO, it's so freaking hard. So I'll tell you, I just don't know, but that's what I'm going in with. I'm going to go in and say it's going to play in a very similar fashion here. With the 12 hours making kind of a lower low on that velocity, I'm inclined to believe that the rally that we get here, it will reject. It'll come back down and then it'll run. And that will give us a proper, it'll work with the cycle that I was talking about, 110 days. And the actual chart will make more sense. Like this is more of a reliable like trend line. It's not like this super sharp steep trend line and say like, oh, it broke. Like that's why I didn't feel too confident. Like even on the 4 hours, I think I had it like that and said like, oh, that could be it. But to be honest, it looks good. But when you when you zoom it out, it's nowhere near the same slope. Like that slope is too sharp. And it could be that you got to wait for that pivot. You got to see what it does, which I think that's what it's going to do. It's going to make that pivot. I think it's going to just triple bottom at 430. I'm calling that. And then it's going to go kind of in the same way where it basically double bottomed right over here. Or I guess you can call it triple bottom. I think you're going to get that. And it's going to drive people crazy. People are going to be mad at making this call out. I don't know. It's in the sideways range. And ultimately, I fully expect when you do get that break right above here, when we do get this break, it's gonna retest, and then it's gonna then that's when you're gonna get the moon. So it's a lot of speculation, but you would get that retest of that sideways range, and it would explode, kind of in a similar fashion right over here. And last thing, I want to draw this one chart. I don't know if I can't remember. I've talked for so long. I forgot if I drew this chart out for you guys or not. I want to draw this chart for you. Hang on. Did I do that right? I think it only worked. It only made sense when I drew that on a log scale. Yeah, this is what I wanted to kind of show you. Notice how this little center zone became a battle drone, right? And so it's an interesting spot. I just don't fully, I'm not confident, guys. So I apologize. I don't know if you guys were expecting more, but this thing is freaking hard to chart. Everybody's getting it wrong. All the big guys are getting it wrong as far as timing. Some of the best traders and technical analysts will get it wrong as far as timing. And I may get this wrong too. But I'm trying to make sense of it. And I guess I'm just going to lean in with this cycle here, that 110-day cycle here. And it makes sense in my head, actually. And, you know, runs, I don't know. Guys, I don't know. That's it. I hope this kind of paints a better picture as to what I'm looking for. I'm primarily looking for this for next week. It's all eyes are going to be on this, and that's what I was looking for last week. But it was still bottoming, and I think now we're riding up higher. The 2 hours and 1 hour look good. It's ready to ride higher. The question is, what is it going to do once it gets there? What is the Hang Seng going to do once it gets there? Right? And so these are the things. Oh yeah, take a look at that. Take a look at this, how it broke down. It rode up. Did make that higher low here, but that's just kind of, those are the things that I'm looking at. And I will share this one chart real quick here. Baba broke down, so it's going to have to kind of make that retest here as well. Not to kind of make you guys bearish or anything like that, but it is something notable to kind of point out to you, that it looked like it was going to break back above, broke back down. It's really just following whatever the Hang Seng Index does, man. It's so difficult. But if you watched all the way right until the end of the video, thank you guys. And for those of you that have been actually liking my videos and giving me a lot of support and subscribing to my YouTube video, I really do appreciate you guys. And if you guys forgot about the first question that I asked you in the video, I asked, what's one of your favorite Christmas movies? Because it is coming towards the Christmas holidays. I'm curious to know. Let me know in the comment section below. Having said that, guys, have a happy holidays, and I'll see you guys next week on Twitter. Cheers.